On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. The sentence looks simple. It was not. It was the moment when a month of fear, anger, calculation, and diplomatic pressure crossed the line from crisis into war. A royal assassination in Sarajevo had shocked Europe on June 28th. The heir to the Habsburg throne, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, and his wife Sophie had been killed by Gavrilo Princip, a Bosnian Serb nationalist tied to the revolutionary world of Young Bosnia and to Serbian nationalist networks. But the shots in Sarajevo did not mechanically create World War I. July 28 matters because it shows the choices that turned a violent event into a military decision. Austria-Hungary was an empire under strain. It ruled many peoples and languages, and in Bosnia it faced the restless politics of South Slav nationalism. To Vienna, Serbia looked like a small neighboring state that encouraged the forces pulling at the empire's southern frontier. To many Serbian nationalists, Habsburg rule over Bosnia looked like foreign occupation of people who should belong to a larger South Slav future. The assassination landed inside that conflict of maps. It was a crime, but it was also a symbol, and symbols can become weapons when governments are already afraid. In Vienna, grief quickly mixed with strategy. Some leaders believed Serbia had to be punished so harshly that it could no longer threaten Habsburg authority. Others understood the danger. Serbia had ties to Russia, and Russia had reasons to present itself as protector of Slavs and as a great power that would not retreat again in the Balkans. Austria-Hungary therefore needed Germany. In early July, Berlin gave strong support to its ally, the commitment later remembered as the blank check. German leaders hoped firmness might keep the conflict limited, or at least leave Germany and Austria-Hungary in the strongest position if war spread. That hope was one of the crisis's most dangerous assumptions. The next step was an ultimatum. On July 23, Austria-Hungary sent Serbia demands that reached into propaganda, officers, courts, arrests, and investigations. Some terms attacked genuine concerns about the conspiracy, others pressed directly against Serbian sovereignty. Belgrade had 48 hours. Serbian leaders replied with major concessions and careful language, accepting much of the note while resisting the demand that Austro-Hungarian officials operate inside Serbian judicial proceedings. To many outside observers, the reply looked like a possible basis for more talks. To Vienna, committed to decisive punishment, it was not enough. This is where July 28 becomes the hinge. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia exactly 1 month after Sarajevo. Soon shells crossed the rivers toward Belgrade. What had been notes, meetings, telegrams, and threats became violence against the capital and its civilians. A declaration of war did not yet mean a world war was inevitable, but it made every other government decide what its promises, fears, and plans required. Russia moved toward mobilization. Germany warned Russia and France. France held to its alliance with Russia. German planning treated a two-front danger as a problem of speed, which meant Belgium appeared on the map. Britain watched the balance of power and Belgian neutrality become harder to separate from its own security. The July crisis was so deadly because each government could describe itself as responding to danger. Austria-Hungary feared imperial decline and nationalist attack. Germany feared encirclement and delay. Russia feared another humiliation in the Balkans. France feared abandonment and defeat if its alliance failed. Britain feared a Europe dominated by one power. Serbia feared losing sovereignty after already suffering the assassination's consequences. None of these fears alone explains the catastrophe. Together, they created a system in which threats meant to restore control, made control disappear. Mobilization turned politics into machinery. Railway timetables, reserve call-ups, border plans, and staff calculations rewarded speed. Public language made delay look like weakness. Newspapers spoke of honor, punishment, loyalty, survival, and betrayal. Diplomats still had choices, but their choices narrowed as armies began to move and leaders treated uncertainty as proof that the worst case was already arriving. The alliances were not automatic machines. People still signed orders. Cabinets still met. Monarchs, ministers, ambassadors, and generals still argued. The tragedy is that so many of them believed that escalation was the safer path. By early August, a Balkan war had become a European war. Germany declared war on Russia and France, invaded Belgium, and brought Britain in. The conflict that followed killed millions, broke empires, redrew borders, and opened the violent 20th century in ways the men arguing in July did not fully imagine. That future was not contained inside Princip's pistol. It was built by decisions after the pistol had fired. The myth says one bullet caused the First World War. The clearer lesson is harder. A single act of violence becomes world-changing only when institutions, alliances, fears, and leaders give it that power. July 28, 1914, was not just the date Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. It was the day punishment outran diplomacy, credibility outran judgment, and a crisis that might still have been contained began to teach Europe how fragile its order really was.